do you think Bernanke will announce QE3 by the end of the year? And the answer is yes, I think he will. I'm not sure he's going to use the terminology QE3. I think they may come up with some other quick quip, some type of nomenclature that means QE3 to infinity, as Jim Sinclair likes to state, and I'll back him up on that. People are a little discouraged that really pay attention that QE1 didn't work, QE2 didn't work, and QE3 probably won't work either. But nonetheless, I do expect that the continuing easing, pushing interest rates primarily to zero for a very long time to help the economic recovery. Again, it's not working, but I do believe that they will try to continue that process in the hope that it will have some effect. And again, in my view, it won't. If so, where do you see silver going by the end of the year? I've been consistent here. I was early on in the year, I thought we might see 60, and I blew that off, probably within the first quarter of 2012, seeing what the market was doing. It was going to take longer to consolidate and move higher. So I'm looking for 35 to 40 by the end of the year. The one thing to know about silver is how small a market is and how fast it can move. Anyone that's in the market or paid attention to the market can see that clearly for themselves. So if we got above the $40 level and we got a 3 or 4 days on big volume, it could shoot from 40 to 50 rather easily. Now, I'm not predicting that. I just want to be clear that when I give a number, there's a lot of reasoning behind it. It doesn't mean that I'm always right. I've been good in my calls, but no one in this industry is perfect. Nonetheless, I expect to see, again, 35 to 40 by the end of this year. How high do you see silver getting by the end of 2013 before the next big correction? That's a real tough call, and here again I might have to backtrack. The reason I backtrack is you're only as good as the data presents. In other words, we can forecast to our best ability, but if you get more information, that information will allow you to do a better forecast, and that's what happened for my initial call for 2012. It could be here in 2013, but I'll stab at it. I really think you'll see a new nominal high in 2013, which means we'll take out the nominal $48 high that we've had better than a year ago, April of 2011. And I think we'll probably see 60 to 75 in 2013. I don't want people to get too hung up on the actual number, although it's important. It's just a number. The idea is what's important. One is that the inflation-adjusted price of silver has not made a new high, so the nominal price might be bigger, but the true price adjusted for inflation is not. I expect to see silver in real new high terms, probably not in 2013, but certainly before this bull market ends. Next question is, if the Eurozone completely collapses and gets dissolved, how will this alter your predictions? That's a real tough call, but here's the scenario. In the event of a currency collapse in the Eurozone, expect to see huge moves throughout the currency markets. These are the only markets that allow for trillions of dollars to move back and forth. The metals, even gold, is much too small for that type of movement. In other words, you can't move trillions or billions and billions into the gold market without just blasting the price out. And what I would forecast in that would be a huge move into the U.S. dollar temporarily, probably would take the gold and silver prices down momentarily, meaning it could be weeks, could be a month, it could be a couple months. Overall, it wouldn't alter anything. In fact, the best place you could be would be in the metals. Nonetheless, it doesn't mean that with a huge currency disruption, as you're asking me to forecast, if it were to occur, that's what I would expect. I expect a lot of paper pushing around the world on a global basis. The most liquid thing for the bankers is digital money. They're going to move the digital money as quickly and as fast as they can. They're going to go to where they think it's the safest, and on that basis, it would be the U.S. dollar for a while. All right. How did you initially get involved with gold and silver? Anyone that's read my book knows that the 90% of silver coins were taken out of circulation in 1964. I was born in 53, so I was about 11 years old when that happened. Even as a child or a kid, I understood that something wasn't right with the system. It wasn't a really burning question for me, although it did certainly capture my interest. And I just became fascinated with money at a very early age and started exploring, how to make money and how you can invest and why, companies go up or down and the stock market in general and lots of questions like that. And pretty quickly, for whatever reason, I got onto the honest money situation and what had happened to monetary systems in the past. And I don't really recall exactly how that took place, but once I learned that, I started digging into that side of the question quite a bit. So it happened at a very early age. By the time I was probably 20 years old, I had information that now is very commonplace, but I knew the Federal Reserve was a privately held corporation run for profit. I knew that the name Federal was just a moniker, but it's as federal as the Federal Express Company is a private corporation. And, of course, in those days, very few people knew that or understood that. Eustace Mullins, who written a book on the Fed, I forget the name of it, Secrets of the Federal Reserve, I think was the name, read a lot of things that today would seem commonplace among gold and silver investors. But at the time, going back, several decades, you might say I was ahead of the curve. Please omit the ego out of that when I say it, but it's true. So I got involved with gold and silver, particularly silver, because it's all I could afford, and you couldn't buy gold. Gold was illegal until about 1971. So I was collecting silver dollars and that type of thing. Certainly not a lot, but at an early age, I knew the value of saving, and some of my savings, certainly not all of it, were in the silver realm, mostly silver dollars. Moving on from there, what type of bullion do you normally go for when investing, eagles, maples, or something else? I spread it around. When I start out, and this is in the 10 Rules of Silver Investing, and by the way, another plug here, if you do get on the free email list by signing up on the website just for the free weekly, weekend economic update, as soon as you sign up for that, you have to verify it's you and you really want these. You can opt out at any time, but once you opt in, you will get the 10 Rules of Silver Investing that I wrote many, many years ago, but the autoresponder will send you one of the rules about every 3 days. And a lot of that this question in particular is answered in those updates that you'll get, again, one about every 3 days. Normally what I teach is to go for the most silver for the money, which means silver rounds, which is a 1-ounce coin or medallion specifically. Coins in law means that it's minted by a government of some type, whereas a medallion is the same size and diameter and everything else, but it's minted privately. Regardless, silver rounds is what I usually tell people, but a lot of people rather have a government mint. They'd rather have a Canadian maple leaf or a U.S. silver liberty, commonly referred to as an eagle. And if that's what makes you happy and you're willing to pay the premium, then certainly go for it. I have bars of various denominations, 10-ounce bars, 100-ounce bars, that type of thing. I have lots of silver rounds. I also have eagles and maples. So, again, it suits the individual investor. Again, I teach to get the most silver for the money. Constitutional silver is a very good way to get started, which is junk silver, as it's called in the trade, which is hardly junk. It's very valuable. A bag of 1,000 face value is probably around $28,000, $30,000 right now. I've been checked prices recently. Forgive me, you can look it up yourself. But, something that's 30 times more expensive in fiat than it is in face value, when at one time 1,000 in silver was 1,000 regardless. And, of course, now it's, again, 30,000 in current day prices. So hardly junk. But that's a good way to get started. You don't have to buy a full bag. They sell it in half bags or quarter bags, or actually can buy rolls of 90% dimes or quarters if that's all your budget allows. So that's a good way to get started. In fact, that's normally what I tell people when they consult, is to put their money into quote-unquote junk silver to get started. And I thank you, Ryan, again, for the opportunity to answer these questions for your readers, I guess for your people that watch your videos. And I will certainly do another one if you so choose